This video is actually quite personal to me because, usually when I have these minimalist videos, I talk about like a bad shopping behavior or like being a hoarder, a collector, and I've never really had like huge problems with either of those. But this issue is something I've truly had problems with. I've gone from seeing myself as a totally lazy person to becoming actually one of the most productive people I know. For like the first 25 years or so, I identified as a really lazy person, but then since like the last 4.5 years back or something like that, this has all totally changed. And it's just because of the job I now do, with my own business. Since starting the YouTube channel and the blog, I now like post 3 to 4 videos per week. I post 6 blog posts per week, 3 photos on Instagram every day. So I need to be like really productive and really efficient when I do my job. Otherwise, I would never have time to do all of that. Of course, I have David to help me, but still, like the last 4 years have been working 100-hour weeks for both me and David, and I have been enjoying it. I'm not saying you should strive for working 100 hours per week, that's not really healthy. Luckily, now David is working with me full time, so we have been able to slow down a bit, having like evenings off and even like a totally free day every week. So it's definitely slowed down finally, but it has been a few crazy years. There are definitely a few tricks that have been helping me out a lot that I've learned over these years that I would love sharing with you, but more importantly than having like a few good tricks up your sleeve, I believe that the like number one most important thing when becoming more productive is finding the job at hand motivating. Now, it doesn't have to be fun all the time, that's not what I'm saying. I just mean that there has to be like a feeling of you going somewhere with it. Like that there are goals, that there's some way you can like learn something new or develop your skill set or whatever. I think the number one reason why I've been seeing myself as so lazy is that I've never really found anything before this that has truly motivated me to work. But not all jobs or schoolwork is that motivating. So you just have to find something with it that makes you feel like this is something you want to spend time on. And if all else fails and you just find your schoolwork or your job totally boring, here's what you can do. Just try to do your job good enough and then spend the rest of your time planning some project you can do after work hours. Because in my opinion, there's nothing as depressing as feeling like you're not going anywhere with your life, that you're not doing anything that you find like rewarding. For me personally, I love to write after work. It's just a way for me to relax and to sort of feel like I have a hobby and a project that's not connected to my actual job. Now that we have a project or a job or some schoolwork that we found motivational in some way, it's time to get down to those tricks that make productivity come more easily. So these are just a few things that have been working for me throughout these years. I would love to hear if you have any tricks up your sleeve. The first thing I like to ask myself about my own productivity is, where am I at the most productive? For me personally, that is totally being at home. I feel as most relaxed at home, so I find it easier to concentrate and focus when I am in my own surrounding, with my own stuff around me, with my own like routines, my own kitchen and stuff like that. But I totally understand that a lot of you feel like you can't work from home because you get too distracted. So for some of you, it might be in a cafe or a library or in an office or at school. Just find your own place where you know that this is where I work the best, because every time you sit down at that spot, you will sort of tell your brain it's time to get into productivity mode. Second thing is like, do you need a ritual? For me, the answer is definitely yes. I like snuggling up in a cozy place with a cup of tea, some nice music, maybe light a candle or something like that, so that I feel like it's not too like sitting at a desk working, it's more like having a good time. And I even have like a playlist on Spotify called Concentration, where I have like tons of instrumental, really calming music that will tell my brain every time I listen to this music, it's time to work. Third thing to figure out is like, what distracts me? It might be something like, having the TV on, or having family and friends disturbing you, or, your phone constantly beeping. Whatever it is that distracts you, just remove it. Tell yourself that for an hour or for 2 hours or however long you need, you are going to be totally focused and only have the things you need to be productive around you. So tell your friends, tell your family not to disturb you for an hour or so. Put your phone on silent. turn off the TV and like throw away the remote control. Because I think that the most important thing to getting productive is being focused and sort of immersing yourself into the task at hand. Fourth question that might be a good idea to ask yourself is, what is my goal with this project? And I mean like both long-term goals, like what do I see myself doing with this in 2 years, and like more short-term goals, like what do I want to achieve this week or even just today. And you know, I'm a big fan of the to-do list. I love making lists of my goals, and it just makes it easy for me to get an idea of where I'm heading. And I have a video about like how I make my everyday to-do list, which might be a good idea for you to check out if you feel like you need some list inspiration. I feel like when it comes to goals, we shouldn't overdo it. Like hopes and dreams should be outrageous and big, but goals I feel like should be a bit more realistic and substantial. So for me, when I sit down to make a goal, say for example, I plan to sit down to do some writing. I don't plan to do like 4 hours of hard writing 10 pages or something like that. I just plan to do like maybe 1 hour of light writing. It should be fun, and when I stop, I should still feel like it's fun, so that I'm ready to just like jump in again in the next few days. The final trick, the final question is David's favorite, or actually it's not his favorite at all, it's more like his least favorite, because it's sort of fueled by this stress of being more productive, and it goes like this: why didn't I start a year ago? Although this question is fueled by a stress that, you know, we feel like, oh, we shouldn't have gotten further along already, it's sort of a good question, because it means like it gives you a push to start today. Because if you start today, you know that in a year's time, you won't ask yourself the question, why didn't I start a year ago? I hope that these tricks or these questions will help you in your productivity, and that you feel like happy in your projects or work or school or whatever it is that you're doing. Now guys, get going, go do your projects, go be creative, or go to work or school or whatever it is that you are doing. See you guys on Instagram, I hope. I always love to see when you tag me and stuff, and just to see your projects, or you know, you cooking my food or whatever it is that you're doing on there. That's it for today. Cheers!